Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of the Guile treatment. We have Garrett with us again. We're going to go over some of the uncommons that they gave out at Worlds. We did the previous show on the commons, I think with Tim Keefe and Dave Wagner and Kevin Broberg. You can check that out if you didn't already. It was part of, I think it was with the pre-national shows. This is the post-national run. So I guess we can get right into it.
Sure.
With Akuma. I guess all the characters other than the toppers were spoiled at nationals, as they're all uncommons. Contributes a bit to the high uncommon count because I guess there's 8 characters. So there are more uncommons than commons, but the main reason is because of the characters.
Yep.
So,
as we said in the common show, like we figured Akuma would do something with face downs, and
because all of his cards seem to reference them.
Yeah, and then and here we go. He actually actively flips his cards, which is pretty neat because I don't know if there's ever been. I know my 2-dot had some support where she would flip stuff face down, but it was on foundations, not on the character.
And Zoe 1-dot.
I'm sorry, Zoe 1-dot. Before my time, man. I didn't play a lot of Tides. I played Vespera, and that was it. So, calm down. Calm down, Rob.
I started playing with Rise of the Masters. What's your excuse?
You're a better player than me. Yeah, so it looks like he's a check hacker. What's cool is that it's on a non-foundation card, so it's on any action, any attack that your opponent can block with. Or even play. So, if they go to block with a Templar or a Yin and Yang, you can hack their check and then make your stuff easier because a lot of his stuff has no progressive. So go ahead, guys. You can. I'm just trying to steer the conversation.
Yeah. I got you. I mean, honestly, I like this art a lot. One of the things that's interesting with some of the new check hack stuff is I feel like it used to be before they make a check, so you kind of didn't, you didn't know if it was something that was going to be good or bad. There'd be times where it'd be before the check is made, you do something and then they check an attack and you're like, oh, well, I bailed him out. So you get to see what it is first, and that ability. I mean, you can flip cards that you blocked with. So if they're in an attack string, you can make it really difficult. And flipping cards in your card pool, that's a pretty, I guess you have to have them, but that's a pretty minimal cost. It's not like the old Akuma that had to blow up foundations. It's going to be really difficult to, kill this guy early unless, he has, no cards in hand or he, fails a block or something.
Just to kind of preview the next card, it has a +0 mid, and his common has a +0 mid, and they both ignore face downs while counting towards progressive. So his block, he should be able to block pretty much after that first one. He should be able to block pretty much anything. If he uses his attack. This
definitely seems like the character that was the answer to Liu Kang.
Yeah.
But yeah. The other thing too is obviously on your attacks. You can play an attack, and then when they try to block it, you can flip a previous attack that was blocked or not blocked. It'll deny you momentum. But, making things connect is sometimes, more important. The one weird interaction is if you flip you could flip an attack that's currently happening, which would make it drop. I guess effectively that means that they can't reversal it because it won't resolve.
Yeah.
But there's been some debate over what that does to a block, which I think there might be doing an FAQ entry for instance, a stop or a prepare to fight or something like that. If they're blocking with that and you flip the current attack, I'm pretty sure that they still get to respond with on block effects because it won't drop until the damage step. But I'm not 100% on that.
Yeah, they have yet to decide on how they're going to rule that. Ideally, I don't think they even foresaw it. Maybe they probably should have thought, flip one other card in your card pool other than your attack or something. I don't know. The bottom line is this character's kind of like Cassie in that he's incredibly flexible.
Yes.
Okay, he's incredibly flexible, mainly because his R can be used offensively and defensively. Right? You can use it offensively, defensively, and just like Cassie, he scales really well. He scales really well. The more cards he can play in a turn, the better. Because as you mentioned already, Rob, you can flip the previous attacks for damage or for extra +2 speed, I guess, pseudo speed, by giving the check to block -2. His E is also incredibly scalable because it's going to get 1 damage for each face down. So as the turn goes on, it's +1, +1, +1, +1. And also everyone gets stun 1 is pretty good. That you can also give you reversal stun 1. You can do a lot of interesting kind of. He's very disruptive. This Akuma is very disruptive, and that harkens back to some of the older Akumas.
I know one crazy thing I've been talking about is playing him off of evil and using admission fees, because you can use it to block, you can use it to attack, and then it helps with his bottom, so you can speed and then get an extra face down in there for extra damage, and you can push more attacks through. And since his attacks don't care about face downs, it's just like sweet.
Yeah, I think that'll be part of it, is going to be seeing like if all of his attacks have a static like that. I think the 2 that we've seen so far do, where they just don't even worry about face downs. And yeah, I mean, if they're all like that, I mean, yeah, you can definitely play like his 4 attacks and then, you know, something, and just kind of run a bunch of things that junk up your pool. I think that might leave you a little bit susceptible to like reversals. But of course, he still has like the check hack on that, so like that can make it like difficult for them to pass. But yeah, I think that R is like really good, and you know the E is good as well. Definitely stack up damage. You know, I played a character for a while that put cards in card pool for stun and damage. He was pretty good.
You did? Really? I don't think so. I think it was okay, I guess. He was okay.
Yeah, this isn't Gutsman. This is actually a bit better than Gutsman, sadly. So, or happily, I guess.
Well, yeah, because I don't have to debuild when I do it. That's great.
Yeah, no, he's, like I said, he's very much like Cassie. He looks way too techy to be good, and then he's going to be good.
He's going to be good. Yeah.
See, I don't know. This guy looks better to Cassie than me. But
does he?
Wow.
Oh, that's dangerous.
Yeah, that's very dangerous, yes.
That's very dangerous.
You heard it here first, folks. Akuma's winning cardboard.
Man, at Worlds. Here he comes. Those hot takes.
Well, I won't deny that possibility.
Okay.
But he is good enough to do that. Yeah. He's not easy to build, though.
No, he won't. So let's move on to his attack. Yes, it was...
I want Chris to pronounce this one.
What?
Oh, go ahead.
Dialect Devil Slayer?
Is it Dialect?
Is it Dialect or Dillick?
Dialect, whatever. Shut up, Rob. You don't like Cassie, so there, whatever. There you go. I used to be a tally
like
thing.
Sword, right? He's still
it's Donovan Sword, yeah. See, I don't know anything about the comics. I didn't read it. I have to buy the trade, because is Akuma like a good guy in the storyline? I never read it, so...
Akuma's never a good guy.
Well, I know that,
no,
but
they basically like pick him up because they need his power to like get into the Makai or something.
Oh, because he's a demon, so he can get in there? Fair enough.
Yeah. They use him, and then he also helps.
He helps
beat Guile.
I think the motivation was if Jeddah succeeds, then he'll basically like end the world, and Akuma's like, well, I don't want the world to end because then who will I fight?
Oh, okay. So basically, it's enemy of my enemy is my friend. Then, so basically like that.
Yeah. There's a lot of that going on. In this comic.
Yeah, fair enough. Like his other common attack, it doesn't count. It ignores progressive for face down, so that's sweet. It has EX3, powerful 3, which is pretty awesome. It's another. It's a 5/5, so it's a good statted card.
Yeah, I mean this is just a stats card.
Yeah, it's just a stats card. You know,
like the 0 mid block, like decent base numbers and 2 big like EX and powerful, both large, and just the fact that the face downs don't count means that like Akuma's probably going to be able to play this on like a 6 or 7 at almost any point.
Yeah.
Early, late, which is pretty strong.
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm surprised this isn't a common card. I guess it is an uncommon because of how simple it is and how it's just statsy. I don't think it's an amazing card. In Akuma, it's a very good card. the thing holding it back from being a great card is the 5 diff.
Yeah.
For 5/5. I mean, you might be building an Akuma that has a lot of momentum generation, and then this card is a lot better.
Yeah.
But I don't think that'll be his best build. So we'll see how much this is played. I think how much this gets played depends entirely upon
the rest of his kit.
How much Liu Kang is still a thing.
Yeah, that is also true.
And also how these Akumas end up being built. If they end up being built with lots of attacks and momentum, this card's going to be good. If they get built with more of a defensive counterattack mentality, this attack might not be the best.
And I mean, even like we said, like if you're flipping your attack space down for like check hacks, I mean, you're not going to be getting a ton of momentum.
Yeah, you might lose out on the momentum.
Yeah. So,
I think it's a good attack, solid attack. Nothing special.
So moving on to the foundation, drained by a kiss. The R on that card is fantastic.
Yeah,
it's fantastic. It is
it's a better mathematician. It's
pretty much.
Well, what did you call it at Nats?
Oh, yeah. I was like, if mathematician was like, this is better than mathematician. So what is this, like, astrophysicist
or something like that?
What's the step above mathematician? Yeah. I mean, the fact that it's an R is great. I mean, mathematician, was an E, so you can cancel it a lot easier.
Yeah.
I guess the one sort of downside is now that they've now that they've changed safe, you won't, like, this won't be able to stop safe attacks the way that mathematician could before the rule change. But there's still a lot. I mean, there's a lot of cards that have like statics now. And so, like, when things are played, being able to like flip them in the card pool after they resolve. I mean, even denying momentum, like stuff like that. Like, this is a very good like tech ability. And then obviously like the E commit is, another thing that like is going to be utility for these symbols against Liu Kang. And
even
it can help. Yeah. I mean, it can help for like Akuma if he's, if he wants to play a couple attacks and then like clear some stuff out so that he can pass like foundations like in an early turn. But I mean, this is more. I think this will be played more for the R, and then the E will sort of be a meta type thing.
Yeah, definitely. I think you play one of this in a deck no matter what, because the R is bound to be useful in some respect, and then you might side more.
Yeah, I mean, even something like a Skull Barrier, like if they play a Skull Barrier, they're not going to reverse lead with it, or if they do, then thanks.
Yeah, you just flip it. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I think this card's really good. It's interesting because when they released Mathematician, I'm like, this is a good card, but it's really highly costed. The Destroy, and I wonder how much it's going to get played. And it still saw quite a bit of play. So if that's seeing quite a bit of play, this is going to see even more play. And it's actually on symbols that kind of want to control like that a bit more than Mathematician did.
I think Mathematician did have Void, but I think it was also Life and Death.
Life and Death. Yeah. These are even more control-y symbols.
Like Order for sure, Evil, I think that's something actually that they've done a pretty good job of, like post Bebop, of sort of bringing up some of the symbols that need a little bit of help. And there's still good symbols and like less good symbols right now, but I think you can make a pretty scary deck on almost anything.
I agree.
Nice.
I agree. I mean, they said one thing. Sorry to interrupt you so much, Rob, but Shane said something going into Bebop before it was even released. He says, "I want to make every card playable." And people have been saying that forever, and they never are. But something they've done is that. More so than before. More so than before, cards are more playable. Some of that has just been straight power creep, but a lot of it has been just designing better cards. And the result is symbols. Almost every symbol can be played. Like, actually, every symbol can be played. I mean, like you said, every symbol can. But more so than ever before. If only because it's too hard to compare them. You're no longer comparing apples and oranges. You're comparing like apples and apple pears or something like that. And it's just your flavor.
Yeah. Sure.
And this card's a good example. And it's also on symbol identity, in my opinion.
And I know that like I saw a bunch of Akuma support, and I instantly thought, well, Gyro Man gets some help. Like Sagat gets tons of help from the order stuff, and yeah, he's gonna get some new life. So like a lot of this newer support's gonna breathe life into these other characters that have kind of been forgotten or left at the kitchen table. Like they don't come to tournaments very often because of that. So.
I mean, it'll be interesting. I feel like there are some characters that benefit from like a bit of a bump, and I think there's others that like it'll make them better, but I don't think it'll make them competitive.
Sure. I agree with you, Rob. There's something you can't make, some things you can't make relevant.
Yes.
Yeah.
Without breaking the game somewhere else.
That's also true. Very true.
I think like Sagat benefits a little more because he sort of like wants these cards that he can play like with a junked up pool because all of his stuff was like discard a face down. I mean, I guess maybe you could even say that like you might see more of Sagat stuff in Akuma.
Yeah.
Of just like, because he has all these things that clear stuff. You can be like, well, I'll give it like 1 damage and stun 1, and then also turn on this other effect to discard. But yeah, some of these things like they weren't great originally, and it was mostly because of like other reasons. Like it wasn't just their card pool; it was also that like their effects had a higher cost than other cards, or they just like the effects weren't that good. So we'll see. I mean, I think if anything, it's more that Akuma will have a pool of I'd like let me put it like this: I would much rather play Akuma with like a gyro attack than I would play like Gyro Man with any of Akuma's cards.
Yeah. So let me talk to some synergies with this card just before I don't want to pass it over. But the main thing a newer player and even some older players are going to want to know about this card is it says remove.
Yes.
And up to 2. Yeah. Okay, so first of all, you don't have to remove 2.
Yeah.
The other thing is you're removing. So things, you can combo this with like Tech Spear or something like that to really be nasty, like flip one of your attacks down, remove it with this, play those abilities on the Tech Spears if you just mimicked.
Sure.
It's also not going to let you tech with discard. So if this said discard 2 face downs, you could choose the order they get discarded in your discard pile and play something that did something with a top card or anything like that. Right? So the terminology on this card needs to be looked at when you're building the deck. The remove could be relevant.
Okay. All right. So moving on to Chunners. So moving on to Chun-Li.
Sure.
Sure.
She seems like a baby of Elect Man and Metal Man were able to have kids, and they had a kid that was a woman somehow. She's definitely on the list of like here in Rockford. There's like 3 guys who want to play her because they just love the mechanic of, well, I attack you and I build because they're all Metal Man fans. So it's just building while attacking is really good. So
this is sort of an interesting one. I mean, like I guess the building while attacking, it's the benefit is that it doesn't have to hit unlike Metal Man. Like that's good for sure. I'm always hesitant for characters that have to like commit foundations for stuff. I mean, and especially on like a 7-hander, you see characters like Reese 2, Elect Man, Airman, and this is like a very similar ability of like commit a foundation. +3 speed. I mean, that's the same as Airman. That's the same as Elect Man. Like they did some other stuff. Airman could give minus damage or minus speed. Elect Man gives him damage. But, having played those characters, like that's a big investment. I mean, the advantage of Chun-Li is that after she does it, you're basically replacing that foundation with the attack you played.
Yeah.
So that kind of helps mitigate the cost. But then her other ability, I think, is probably I don't know if like the better one, but yeah, I mean, just like getting that snap momentum with like some damage pump or whatever, or mitigation.
Yeah,
and also we've sort of talked a lot about deadlock, and having a ton of face down foundations like isn't necessarily a great position to be in, because if you're turning on your opponent's deadlock effects and your foundations don't do anything, you're in terrible shape.
Yes.
So the fact that she can kind of like snap them up to get them out of there, like that's definitely good.
If you look at the top E is playable on either turn, of course, but you're only going to want to play it on your own attack.
Yeah.
Probably. right? Unless you have something you want to commit. The E below, though, is a offensive and defensive ability.
Right.
And it also gains you momentum, which could be offensive or defensive. Yep. So it's an incredibly flexible ability. I think her bottom E is what's going to make her over the top or amazing.
Yeah.
And her top ability is what's just going to make her really good, I guess. Or
I mean, the good thing is +3 speed is like, you know, something that's like Alicia does. Like, it definitely makes things much more difficult to block, makes things much easier to connect. It's just sort of like I said, as a 6-hander, like, you know, when you start having to be like committing foundations, like you have to build those foundations first. So if you're really relying on that, like, it sort of depends on how fast other decks are, because you know, we sort of talked about how, like, you know, how's your offense on like turn 2 or like, you know, going second. And this is a character that for her offense to really be like kind of peak efficiency, you're probably going to need like 2 to 3 turns of building, so that you can pass your checks and still, you know, have these foundations to commit. So
she's going to be much better going first. Even though she has a defensive ability on her second D, it's not enough to overcome the fact that she's going to be much better going first. Right? She's going to be harder to steal games going second. Unless she's built in a way that runs a lot of low difficulty attacks or something like that, and she's committing herself going second and gaining a foundation that way. I don't know. Doesn't make sense. But you know, you might run a 3 diff punch and then commit her.
Yeah.
Right. Going second, knowing that I'm building anyways.
Sure.
I don't know.
Sure.
It really depends on what the cards are. But yeah, she's not as good as Akuma in that respect.
Sure.
In that respect. Sure. Because Akuma, going second, you could steal games back with his R quite easily and slow the game down to a point. Whereas her, going first, she's going to be a monster, but going second, she won't be nearly as good.
Okay.
Well, she'll still be good. But,
Speaking of punches, her uncommon punch, you can pronounce this one, Rob. It's all you, man. So, go for it.
So hockey?
Sure. That works for me. Yeah. Works for me, man. Good job. So she kind of has the Tiger Uppercut E, where it's -3 speed damage or +3 damage, but it's on speed this time. And she's able to get more face down. If it hits, she can get out of that deadlock. She's able to snap a couple on a free momentum. Defensively, if it's reversal, you know, if it's a reversal or not. So, you know, it's a nice one low block. It seems like a good, like, would Dave call a lot of the cards bridge cards? It seems like it would be a decent bridge card in like a second or a third attack leading up until like a kill card or whatever. Hey guys, how's it going? Sorry, my dogs came into the room. I had talked to them. So,
yeah, I mean the +3 -3 speed. I mean, I guess so. It's a reversal, which is why it has the -3. You know, I don't think you're giving your next attack -3 speed very often.
Well, you might be attacking with it and trying to deter them from reversaling you.
That's also true.
Maybe you're not going to attack anymore, so you're like, if they do reversal this, it's got -3 speed.
Yeah.
And you don't have to declare that. You can declare it on the next attack played, right?
Yeah. So it's whenever it applies, you pick which one it's going to be.
Yep.
I mean, like in terms of bridge, I mean, it's a little bit like the like focus charge. You know, it's something that can lead into something else. And this is an interesting card. This also is like, this is something that kind of harkens back to like older cards, where this is basically just Chun-Li. You know, this is, you know, kind of something where it's like, okay, you're not Chun-Li, but this card lets you, you know, pretend like you are for an attack, where it's just like your next thing gets some speed. If it deals like face down to your momentum, like if you are Chun-Li, you know, you can kind of like effectively like double up on stuff. I mean, if you make this like a 7 mid-4 and like committed a face down, like you can just add that face down.
That's a really interesting point to make, Rob. Is that this is like the copy Chun-Li or double dip on Chun-Li. And for that reason, I think you're going to probably not see it in much Chun-Li, but you're probably going to see it a lot more in things that aren't Chun-Li, but that value the ability to gain momentum and have speed pump themselves that can make this.
I mean, like this could be something like Felicia or something like that. Yeah.
I honestly don't think this card is that amazing. It's just really it's flexible, but none of the flexibilities are strong enough to make it an auto include. Like you might put this in a deck only for the block on zone if it works with the rest of your things, right? Like I could see that being added in, and that's the same with focus charge. Like I normally wouldn't play focus charge, well, not for the block, but like I really needed a reason to put it in the deck, even though it was a great bridge attack, like as Dave would call it.
Yeah. Yep. So moving on.
So it's an interesting uncommon.
Yeah. So she didn't have any foundations shown. So
yeah, she did.
Did she?
Reunion Across Dimensions is an uncommon.
Is it? Yeah. Oh man, my bad. So go ahead. Phil.
It's just I think there are a couple symbol abilities in this set, if I'm right. Because I think Guile has one as well. It's an order one. Those are always kind of nice. I feel like it sort of gives you, a motivation to sort of play it on a given symbol, I guess, or it just gives you something that not everyone can play. Yeah. But yeah, the Earth ability, right? If it's less than printed, you get to draw a card. And then what? So I guess that's the other one. Is the committing a face down for +2 or -1. That's kind of nice. I've definitely said before I like effects that let you commit other foundations.
So do I.
Yeah. Especially, I guess Spike 1 can't run this because he doesn't have those symbols. But sort of in that vein of
if he could, it would be something.
There's plenty of stuff. So, like for instance, on air and earth, you can run push the limit, which is something. Oh, I guess it says face down, but so something like that. I guess characters that end up flipping things like need stuff to do with them.
Yeah.
And she has definitely attacks that build face down foundations in addition to her attacks creating face downs. So it's just nice to have something like this that kind of has an outlet so that they do something instead of just being there to pass checks. Sure. It's like on a first attack, like if you just pass, if you play a 5 diff and then a 4 diff and you check 2 5s and you kind of have these foundations hanging out, and you're like, man, I wish they did something. I mean, now they do.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, I think this card, just like the punch reversal we just saw, is something it's very solid. It's not amazing. E-commit draw card is above average, but let's assume that's on all the time. It's still e-commit draw card. Commit is it's a real cost, right?
Yes.
So it's a thing. It's just a good card. It's a good, solid card.
I think that this, like, especially the commit a face down, I think that that's something where it's going to depend on the deck. Like you're going to have to definitely be something that generates like a lot of face downs.
Man, I wish you shared a symbol with Sub-Zero because then you could play Cyberlinquai, commit for 2 damage, blow one up for 2 damage. Oh, it'd be so good.
Can't you already do that with just the Linquay Grandmaster?
Yeah, I guess so. Whatever.
Okay.
Yeah. Sorry, you got me, Rob.
Yeah, I mean, I think you only play this if you can use the Earth ability because the bottom one isn't good enough.
Yeah.
You're probably going to find damage pump or whatever otherwise, unless your whole deck's face down or something. But usually this might as well say Earth character only, in my opinion, for valuable put in a deck.
It is something for Goro to get a 5th card during a turn. So,
how often are Goro's attacks less than printed?
I'm just saying. Well, it says if this attack, so you neg your opponent.
You know what? I missed that. You're right. If you DR something, you can draw on their turn.
Gotcha.
Defensive draw is really good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So and then he's gonna have face downs. So.
Yeah. It could be a Goro card.
Yeah.
It very well could be an Earth Goro card. I mean, I guess only Earth shares with them. But like I said, I think you want to use that Earth commit or not use the card.
For sure. No, I agree. So now we're going to go to the Angelic Wonder of Guile.
I mean, this is definitely the worst character in the set. I don't think anyone's going to play.
Bad. He's very bad.
We should probably
the last time they printed a 5 hand size 20.
Yeah, I think we can just move on. No one needs to know anything about Guile.
No.
I'm the only one who's going to be playing him, so it's fine. As long as I know what his cards do, we're going to be good.
He's pretty good. He's pretty good. He's pretty good, kids. The last time they printed a 5 hand size 27 elf character was Maylin, and he overshadows her by a lot.
Oh, I thought you were going to say she's pretty good. I was going to be like Chris.
No. he's really a 7-hand size character. It's just be honest. He's defensively, right? Yeah. Oh, yeah, actually, offensively too. Right. Because if they block, he gets to draw.
Offensively,
too.
If you're attacking,
yes.
sure.
Yeah.
Like that's the thing is like they need to play cards. So if you're playing attacks, like they need to be threatening enough that they want to block them. I think it'd be nice. I haven't really dug too deep to see like what kind of options he has for things that are like if they deal damage or if they're not blocked. I know like for instance like Hyper Bomb will cycle when this comes out, but that would have been a good card for him to give like it had 2 keywords, so it would give 3 speed. And then it's like if it's not blocked, I draw a card. If it is blocked, I'll respond to draw a card.
Yeah.
I don't know what kind of options he has for that currently. But, right, that response is the biggest thing about this character is, like, he's just going to have cards all the time.
Well, kind of like how we were talking. Sorry to cut you off, Garrett. I just wanted to mention, because we kind of talked about going first and second a little bit. Like, him going second, he is a 7-hander starting on.
Right.
So that kind of helps out. Like, he's a character where he's not bad going first. He
might only be a 6 if they like fail their second card when they check a 1.
I guess so. Whatever. But go ahead, Garrett. Sorry to cut you off.
Oh no problem. Like what you said is correct. They've designed a good 5-hander here, just like Jackie. They looked at Jackie and said, "Oh look, how do we make a 5-hander be okay? Well, it has to be kind of okay going second."
Yes.
So Jackie gets to draw 3 and actually have cards to defend with after going second.
Yep.
This guy gets to draw 2 and can defend. Going second. Well, going second, he builds a 7, as you said, right?
Yep, right.
So they've solved the 5-hand size puzzle in that I think this guy's playable without just winning a die roll.
Mm-hmm.
The interesting thing is, and Rob talked about it first, is that you can't rely on his R offensively because your opponent might just take the stance, "I'm not blocking you."
Sure.
Which is a valid stance because you're not even putting damage on it. His base ability is speed.
Yes.
So I think there's 2 things to look at when you're looking at this character. One, because he doesn't have damage, he's not going to be as easy to play as Jackie. He can't just punish an opponent who overcommits and drop a ton of damage on an attack.
Okay.
You're going to have to be really smart about how you build and play him. And he's probably going to be pretty hard to win a game early with, which may make him a bad meta choice at certain times. The other thing to be wary of is you're going to have to run a lot of damage in the deck, and you're going to have to run your own draw. Because, as I said, you can't rely on your opponent giving you the draw.
Sure.
Now, defensively, he's actually a defensive monster, in my opinion, especially if your opponent just happens to be running things that only have 2 keywords. Right? If you're gaining 2 vitality on their attack, that's pretty good. That's a pretty good cost to add to an opponent's attack.
Yeah.
Like, oh, I gained 2 vitality during your attack. Right? Like, just think about this. Like, you block with Templar, you gain 2 vitality. You might have, then you reversal with, like, either Curse Splat or the other thing that can gain 2 vitality if it hits. And you gain 2 vitality on each of those attacks because they each have 2 keywords. You can basically block with Templar, draw, and reversal and gain 6 vitality. 6 is a big number.
Yeah.
Like, it's pretty... It changes the dynamic of that turn quite a bit, right? And on that turn, you're a 33 vitality character, perhaps. So he's more defensive than he is offensive.
Yeah. I think, like, the E is interesting. There's sort of been a movement to have, like, a ton of, like, tag keywords on attacks. And I think that will hurt this E, at least defensively. I mean, right, like, you see something like Cassie's like Nutcracker, I think has 4 keywords on it, or 5. Like, it might even be 5.
Yeah.
So this is just like doing nothing against like stuff like that. I guess that's the thing. So it basically needs to be 2 or less. There's definitely some stuff. I know Sub-Zero has like a couple cards that are just like 2, with like a stun and something else. I mean, obviously his 2 cards that we've seen so far are both just safe. I think you're really going to have to like dig a bit, I know like one we've talked about a lot is like Plant Barrier is like a great card, which, especially with him, with that R, like, I mean, you can block with Plant Barrier, stack something, and then the next card they play, you can draw it. Like defensively, that'll be really good. and offensively it only has one keyword, so you can give it like a bunch of speed. So I think his attack lineup, you'll be sort of trying to see what you can do with that E, and then defensively it'll just sort of be kind of luck of the draw about what they have and kind of what they print going forward. I mean, I feel like even in this set, a lot of the attacks seem to have at least 3 keywords that aren't his. So, but even that's the thing is like even like -2 speed on everything, like that's still pretty good.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I think in a lot of cases you're going to get -2 speed.
Mm-hmm.
In some cases you'll get -1, and in some very rare ones you'll get 0.
Yeah.
The other thing to note is printed, so you can't do things like removing the keywords and then getting more speed production.
The other thing too, though, is like that means that he's awesome against multiples.
No, it only works on. It only works on face up.
Sorry, it says face up.
That's what I was just saying. Right. It only works on face up. So multiple.
Gosh, my reading comprehension is.
You just block with our show's face, and it sets it back to 0 anyway, so it doesn't matter. Just block with our face.
I mean, you know what's going to happen is Chris is totally going to cut that in editing, and I won't look stupid.
Nah, I'm leaving that in.
Yeah. So his trick, if you're going to make him work, you're going to have to figure out his offense.
Yeah.
That's my take on this character.
I agree.
His defense is going to be hit or miss, or it's not going to be hit or miss. It's going to be really big hit or probably hit, because just gaining 2 vitality all the time and being a 727 defensively is pretty good.
Yeah.
With a free -2 or -1 speed.
Yeah.
Right. Like you think Spike was -2 speed on each attack with a flip.
Yeah.
This is probably averaging -2 speed on each attack
for free,
depending on who you're. Yeah, for free.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. Moving on to the foundation, conduit of United Essence.
Mm-hmm.
It has one of those symbol locked abilities, like Rob was saying earlier.
I just wanted to point out for this. I was talking to Scott, and he sort of said like between this card and like his other foundation that are both kind of him with his hair up and whatever. He's like, yeah, we're going straight for like Hatred of Autumn, Dust in the Wind type thing. It's that Guile card that does the, it's like you'll know what it does, you just won't know like the name or which one it is.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. How do you remember Conduit of United Essence?
Yeah. Let's see. Sorry. Do you want to start it?
Oh, you're fine. Go ahead, Garrett. Go for it.
This card is stable on order. I mean, you would never not play this on an order deck, I don't think, unless you think your opponent's never going to do anything.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yes. This card is probably the best uncommon I've seen released in the set. From I want to play this to stop my opponent being a dick to me.
Yeah.
Perspective.
And it's hand cannon on a stick, it's hand cannon on a stick. So if you need to stop them from doing stuff, you just remove. So for card pool effects, I guess. So
yeah, so it doesn't stop multiple because the cards can leave the discard pile.
Mm-hmm.
It's really just stopping things like Spike 2.
Sure.
Yeah. Or anything like Skull Barrier. Like this just stops Skull Barrier. It's kind of funny.
Yep.
You also remove this if you're playing against Princess Perry. You're like, well,
yeah, it's true.
What is the Princess Perry doing? You go ahead and do it. It's not going to bounce it.
Yeah.
Right. So
I mean, you would still have to like block it, but it wouldn't discard your attack.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Yep. It tried to eject it from the card pool and it wouldn't work. So this is actually can be used aggressively against those types of defenses.
Sure.
Sweet nothing. This is like, I don't know what I'm doing against this card.
Yeah.
You'll just have to play Damnation.
Yeah.
Damnation's really good against this card.
Yeah.
I've
actually never read this card. This card's fantastic. So
this card is amazing. I think it's one of the best cards uncommon so far in the set.
Yeah.
Especially if you're order. If you're not order, I don't think you play it. You might sideboard it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's a little like Kodal's Foundation, where on evil it's great, and on not evil you don't play it.
Exactly.
I mean, you still play it as Kodal on those symbols, but if you're not playing Kodal,
I'm saying if you don't have the evil symbol, if you don't have the order symbol, this is a sideboard card.
Oh yeah,
exactly.
Yes.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
I get you.
Unless you really need to not have your cards removed, or you really want to stop. Like if the meta is something that just discards all its cards from the pool all the time. Like if we were back in Bebop meta, you might be
right. If
maining
everyone's playing Spike 2, you might run like 2 of these main and some on the side or something.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But if you're Order, I think you play this no matter what. I mean, because if someone stuns you, you just target
their best thing. Yeah. Well, the thing is, so it says right after one of your cards is committed or flipped.
It says commit or flip. Oh, that's neat.
Then you get to commit or flip. So I think that even if they like stun one you can just basically flip their best thing, which is that's pretty good. Especially there's a lot of the Earth decks have big stun and are also now running like Sense of Morals.
Yeah,
and like it's sort of nice for those like obviously Order, like if you're running like Sub-Zero or something, if you're running like your own stun attacks, I guess Sub-Zero doesn't care because they'll just seal it.
Yeah.
But right, for other people, like targeted flip is good, and I think we've talked about Hunt, but Hunt, I think part of the issue we've sort of said is that other symbols don't really have access to that level of foundation control, and this is kind of that level of foundation control for Order. A little, obviously a little more hoop to jump through. It has to be in play, but the other thing too is like the playable while committed is sweet because if they stun it, you can choose this as one of the cards to stun and then remove it.
So it reduces the same turn cost of it. I think it's like I said, I think it's staple if you're Order.
Yeah.
Otherwise, probably even side, just depending. The E isn't that great. The E's great offensively. Like I hate if you're scared of Princess Parry or Skull Barrier, which you should be probably sometimes.
Yeah.
This E is pretty important.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. All right.
I mean, I've sure had games where you like play something like get that Vega into Desperation, and you're like, okay, well, I'll play this attack parried. Okay, well, I'll put this attack also parried. And you're just like,
you play another attack, they fade you. It's like, oh, come on. Then they Quan Chi Fortress you, and then you get host. Yeah.
Yep.
So,
cards cannot leave your opponents. Leave card pools due to their effects. So fade doesn't work either. Sorry, I was reading it backwards again. I was 99% sure it stops all this dirty stuff.
It does.
It's really good.
Yeah. Okay, so let's move on to Jeddah, right? That'd be the next uncommon, Jeddah. Let me tell you, boys, he is awesome.
I watched one of the guys from Indy playing Jeddah against JT Shadowman at Nationals. And talk about just like a derpy matchup. Like the Jeddah's like every time Shadowman didn't have momentum, he was just like stuffing his foundations in his momentum. And then as soon as the Shadowman got momentum, he was just pitching it on attacks so that Jeddah was blowing up foundations. So they were just like resetting their boards every like 2 or 3 turns of just
Lord.
Like back down to nothing. It was
that's actually a really kind of it's a weird mirror match.
Yeah.
This is like he's got a bunch of stuff going on. I feel like he's kind of, I guess we're probably going to get like a Twinkle 2 in January when they do some of the MRPs for the recently banned stuff. But I think he is sort of like designed a little bit in her vein with, the once per turn, if they have no momentum, you give them one. And it's one of their ready foundations. Oh, and you draw a card.
And you draw a card. Oh, yeah, it's
Why
really
not
good.
just tack that on?
Just tack it on. Yep.
And then obviously, right, the plus or minus damage for each of their momentum. I feel like that's going to be bigger as almost like a damage reduction because his other enhance of like forcing stuff in on like if they have none, I feel like you almost want to try to get rid of it because the more that you can like have enhances where they have no momentum, the more you can just rip up their staging area. And I guess you can play it even if they do just to draw a card, but you're not going to get full value out of it if you're doing that.
I mean, I'll be honest. I look at this character and I think this might be one of the worst characters of the set so far.
Okay.
Super gimmicky.
Sure.
Because
the thing is, I was going to say anything where you're giving them like momentum like that, it can be pretty dangerous because like there are a lot of very powerful effects that are gated by momentum.
Sure.
And when someone just gets it for free, like you might, like for instance, right, like you've been running the deep freeze.
Yeah.
And like half of that is like, man, I really need to like land an attack so I can get this. Like, if I play a deep freeze and my opponent's like, I'll jet at E, I'm just like, oh, well, thanks.
Thanks, dude.
I'll take a free momentum to blow you up.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is a sideboard character kind of thing. Like, okay, you face someone and they have no use for momentum. You're like, okay, I'm going to side into Jetta. Or you play it like Queen Bee. I mean, you want them to have 5 momentum at all times for some reason, so you can get +5 or -1 to attacks, right? Like, this is better Queen Bee for sure.
Yeah.
Because it's got plus damage and minus damage. So, like, this isn't unplayable or anything crazy like that.
And I mean, that's the thing is, like, even if they have momentum, I mean, I guess that's one of the things that even if they're not getting more, like, you do get to draw those cards. So, like, you're kind of going to be like a 7 or 8-hander depending on who's attacking. I feel like the R isn't too bad either. The sort of like some more foundation hate, where you sort of trade 1 for 1. But I think some of it too, like that. I guess he can kind of like slow down some of that like early aggression, but for sure, if I took this character up to like Calgary, where everyone gentlemanly builds for 3 turns before they start playing orange cards, this guy's gonna have some tough times.
Some trouble. Yeah.
I mean, I think this guy has a ton of abilities on him, so he might just be good based on that. Like he's all over the damn place. This character.
Yeah.
All right. Move on to his uncommon attack, Spiral Divinia. Yeah. Sure. It looks like he's gonna have a reversal theme. So, like his other attack has a reversal. So I'm just gonna assume he's gonna just be a straight reversal character without being as degenerate as
the fact that his stuff is playable with the old version.
Yes.
Because this thing is the old version. Like he had a bunch of reversals, but they weren't that good. So even being able to like play it and then not really getting anything, like basically getting them back wasn't like that good. So
so this Deadlock E is pretty much tied with some of the best Deadlock E's in the game, if you ask me. So like if your opponent's playing this, you can't go into Deadlock. Or at least you can't, like you better have a hell of a lot of good defensive draw if you're going to go into Deadlock.
Yeah, exactly. Like, because he can also play, like, Save the Sea Rats is always live with him, so he's always going to be able to shove a card offensively into your momentum. So
yeah, like he could just rip your hand apart. I think this is a good card. I mean, it's a very solid attack. It's nice that it's a reversal. The thing about the E, though, the +1 damage for each of your opponent's momentum, if you combine this with him and you get your opponent up to 3 momentum, this now has +6 damage on it, character and attack, and it's actually it could be a pretty big threat pretty quickly.
Sure.
Just because of the duplication of that effect.
Yeah. And I guess the nice part is that because it has that sort of like 0 momentum thing, is like other people can play it, Like that was some of the stuff with like some of the twinkle things is like, oh, for each of your opponent's momentum, and anyone who like couldn't just like pile it on, like those cards are pretty worthless. And this sure isn't. Like I don't think there's anyone who's like, not Jetta that won't at least like look at this. I mean, drawing a card's fine, and obviously, like you said, that Deadlock E is really good. Basically it's kind of, I guess it's kind of like that Jet one, which is I feel like one of the underappreciated cards where you like look at their hand and like pick 2 names or something and they can't play them.
Is that Black Dog?
No, it's
not Black Dog. That's Relentless Pursuit.
Yeah.
This is on par with Relentless Pursuit as a card.
Yeah.
Like almost like I'd play one of this in any deck on Symbol, just because if I see it.
Right, if you see it and they're in Deadlock, like,
they can win me the game.
Sure.
The other thing that's really interesting, like if this had a better block, this would be almost stable, just because it's so versatile.
Yeah.
So having a +2 block, this is a really well designed card in my opinion. It's interesting. I like it a lot.
It almost reminds me of like Little Robert Kick, because if you when you blocked with it, you would draw, and if you reversaled with it, you got to draw. So in a way, it kind of that whole replacing itself on a reversal is actually pretty good. You know, I know it's
it's
like a blind draw, but still, it's still something to defend with later on if you have to.
Oh yeah,
especially if you can pump
deadlock,
10 damage.
if you deadlock E while reverseling, this thing is insane.
Yeah, right. You're just like, oh, what were you about to kill me with?
That's the dream.
Not that.
That is the dream right there. Yeah, definitely. Oh yeah.
Yeah. So especially you might get some weapon synergy or some other things going on with this too, right? So yeah, it's just a really good card.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, Death Weapons was sort of getting some play back with Street Fighter.
Yeah,
and I mean, I think this slots in pretty well. I mean, anything that's a 4-diff with some okay numbers and good abilities, you kind of need cards like that just to flesh out lineups.
Yeah, it's probably good.
You can't play all 5s.
With the Chaos 4 damage lineup, too. The stuff coming out of What's-Her-Face, Devora.
Devora?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Like the Chaos Devora stuff probably goes okay with this, too.
Yeah. Yeah, because she kind of really, she was actually, I think that on Chaos, she doesn't have does she have a really solid reversal in Chaos? On that?
I don't think so.
I don't think so. But, that really gives her something, that gives her some oomph. You just gain a bunch of life back and then dump a bunch of damage on it if you block with some other attacks, and then you just go to town and just murder people. Sounds fun.
Yeah. No. So this card's going to slot in certain things.
Yeah.
And it's cool. Yeah.
All right.
I think his foundation is kind of nutty.
Yeah, his foundation is pretty good.
Gift of Immortal Blood.
Yeah.
So, that's another one where I guess, for not Jeddah, you can, force them to have some momentum with the E-commit. It's also fine for, just some of the stuff like Punch and Judy or, I guess Quan Chi's gone now, but when he was running Napalm Man, if they have a card or if they have a way to recur cards from the discard pile, I mean, even, the Graven decks that want to jam a Fangs in or something, and you can just sort of say well, you're going to have to find a way to get this out of your momentum before you can get it back.
Yeah.
So, the little bit of targeted discard hate is kind of cool, but then obviously the other one of the discard of momentum and it gets -5 speed, and only playable if they have a momentum, so you can turn it on with discard, and then they'll have to find a way to get rid of it, but playable while committed.
That's nuts.
I see this a lot on Chaos and Water for Fae.
Yes,
as you sort of make a combo between this and Shaolin Fighter, and man, it is going to be tough to do damage to her.
Yeah.
Because if she's not, she'll just, give stuff -5 speed and, block it. And then if she gets into Desperation, then she has, the discard of momentum to give it -4 damage. Yeah, I mean, I guess the fact that the first ability is gated by them having momentum is sort of the saving grace. As long as they can get rid of it, they won't have to deal with this. But if they don't, Faye, who can just get, can get momentum on every single attack, this is going to be nasty.
I mean, I think this is a really good uncommon card. I in my mind, uncommon cards are ones that should be, I guess, kind of nifty or really powerful in certain situations. And then you could build your deck around these uncommon cards, because it's not super easy to get 4 of them, but you kind of want 4 of them.
Yeah.
Sometimes.
Yes.
Right? And this kind of fits the uncommon card in my mind. I think it's a great card. It's hard to rely on it, though, for speed reduction. So, if you're building a deck and you're like, oh, does my deck have speed reduction? And you're like, well, I have blood. Do you or don't you have speed reduction? It really depends on what your opponent's doing. Kind of like back to Guile. How much speed reduction do I actually have here?
Something that's pretty funny about this card is it's going to be really good against Jeddah. I know that's something that was happening a lot when Twinkle was running around, is you almost needed momentum dumps in your deck, just because of Twinkle and Dimension Door Ambush, or not Dimension, Destruction Distraction. I think I'm mixing up my double Ds. So that's the thing is, if Jed is force feeding you all this momentum and he has a little bit himself, you can kind of just go, okay, well, cool, thanks. Man. I'll just -5 speed.
Yeah. Speaking of your instant kill 1-check cards, this card goes in any deck that's trying to feed your opponent 5 momentum, because they're going to have a card in their discard pile.
Yeah. Yeah. If they didn't just cycle,
yeah, right. So
okay.
I mean, it's one more card that might turn that on, which is kind of exciting for people that want to kill people.
Yeah.
With enhances.
Yeah. With an alt win. Yeah.
Right. I mean, I think this card's great. I'm happy with this card in every respect, I think.
So moving on.
So we can move on to Ken.
To Violent Ken.
What do you think? Do you think that this Ken is a little bit better than the Ken that Devin played this past weekend? Or 2 weeks ago, whatever it was?
I'm
already lost.
That other Ken's so much better than this one. Devin's just bad. I can't say.
I think if you took that Ken and then just gave him like these stats as like a 721, maybe.
Oh yeah, that Ken had 7 hand size. It'd be a lot better because he could pay his cost more. Right?
Oh yes, for sure.
But this Ken's better. This Ken.
Yeah.
The question about this Ken is how are you going to be using this defensively, or are you just going to get in a bunch of races with people?
Sure.
Because I see a 721. That's okay life. But his E, remove the top 4 cards, you're printed 4 high, gets +1. Like you're going to be playing that on your opponent's turn, maybe to remove shit from your deck. I don't know. Yeah, probably. But it's not going to help you defensively. The other E is E, remove the top 2 cards of your deck. If this attack shares a name with a card and you're removed, draw 2. So if you're in a mirror match, or if your opponent's running the same attacks as you, that could just defensively.
Sure.
But really, this guy has no defensive ability for 721, which in this game means you're getting in a lot of races.
Yep.
It's kind of interesting. Like there have been a couple characters in the last few sets that have kind of like a very, as if your offense and stuff isn't already like random enough with just like control checks and what you drew and everything, and now you kind of have these like high roll like stats as well. I know I played like a Blanca like locally against like a Spike 2, and in 3 games I never got the +2/+2. Every single time I like milled some of his cards, he had at least 1 attack in there. And this is like a similar thing where it's like, you can, if you remove something and it gets like, you actually hit like 2 attacks and all of a sudden your attack is getting like +6 damage.
Yeah.
That's massively different than just milling off like 2 foundations or something. So I think he's going to be like the thing is he'll be unpredictable to play because like, it's tough because like you have these big numbers, but you can't rely on them. For instance, if, you hit this damage pump on like a poke, and like, they have a good block and you're just like, oh, well, I much rather would have hit that on like an attack that I could have like made stick.
Yeah.
So I feel like he might be kind of like frustrating to play. I know people are kind of geeking out over like drawing all these cards. Especially, he works with multiples because multiples have names of like their base copy. So if you have a way to, or, if you have like, people talk about like Coffee Samba, you'll draw 2 cards. And then if you have another Coffee Samba removed, you like draw 2 on that and then each multiple copy. But I don't really know what you're going to be doing with all these cards.
Yeah.
I haven't really seen anything in his support that, you can kind of like discard stuff. Maybe he'll have something like, I believe it's key techniques.
For defense?
Or like, I guess he does. He has all, so he shares with Vicious for whatever it is.
Eliminating the van.
Yeah, eliminating the van. But if you have all these extra cards in hand, like you kind of need something to do with it because otherwise, you can go into a turn at like, if you just draw a bunch of foundations, and then all of a sudden you're going into a turn with like 8 foundations in hand, and like you really need to be attacking them, like you can't even like review into like attacks. Like you just kind of have to build and then wait another turn. So, and obviously he tears through his deck pretty quickly.
Oh yeah.
It'll be interesting, kind of like an Ava, to see how much people are trying to like abuse these abilities, and even like Jet, at least Jet like removes them from his like discard pile, so he kind of knows how deep he is in. I don't know. He's an interesting character, but definitely kind of a little unstable.
Like I said, I think he's going to be overestimated by people, and because he doesn't have defense, he's going to lose a few more races than he wants to.
Yep.
Yeah.
I think he's fine. I mean, I think it's interesting character. I don't know. Like, he's going to be really explosive or really useless.
Yeah, exactly.
Because I don't think. I mean, we've seen a lot of his cards, and I don't think there's too much that really seems to like stack stuff, or you know, like you almost want to be using things where you can like set up some of his removal, and the fact that the cost on the draw is like removing the top two. Like it's not even like you can put something on top and then draw it because you'll be getting rid of it. So it's definitely going to be blind draws. His attack's pretty good.
His attack is fantastic. Yeah, let's move on to that. Yeah.
So let's move on to his attack. I mean, I think Ken's good, but he's definitely not the. He's not the be all end all.
He's kind of like a glass cannon in a way. Like, you know, doesn't have a lot of defense on him. Yep. Or anything at all.
Not a lot.
Not at all. Yeah, no, a lot. Not a lot is nothing. That's exactly. Yeah. The top E on this attack is very, very good.
The bottom E on this attack is very, very good. It's just high cost.
The card's very good. I got Goro's victory posed against Mark in singles, and I felt bad because I had an action in hand and I couldn't block with it. But yeah, it's just on a stick, just remove.
I mean, that's kind of cool. I mean, I kind of like some of this like action hate, where. You know, like, because there have been a couple action blocks that have been really good. I mean, you know, Templar, Prepare to Fight. I mean, there's some lesser used ones, I guess.
Yeah.
But, like, we got some use out of, like, Bloody Baptism in Ringman, where you would just catch, like, because that was when Prepare to Fight was really popular, and you would just catch people and they'd be like, well, like, I guess this is just a dead card now. That was because that was for the turn.
Yeah.
But even something like this, like, removing 2 cards and they can't play actions, like that just means that, you know, you don't have to worry about revoke for the rest of the enhanced step.
Yeah.
So you can kind of play sort of like without worrying about some, like, you know, a lot of the good action sort of like hate or trap cards. Obviously stun 2 is pretty good. It's like good on really anything. And having Void with Sub-Zero, like this is an attack that he'll like to throw a couple stats on and make you discard, especially with the other E, which, like, revealing hand and then choosing and discarding, like, okay. I mean, it's removed to momentum, so, you know, I don't know how easy it will be to get those, unless you're playing against a Jetta, in which case, cool, thanks.
Give you all the momentum you need.
Yeah, I mean, the thing that I see in this attack is, like, how good is this actually in Ken? Like, how many cards can he remove from the game? The question is, if he has a couple other catalysts that are like +X for removed, I mean, obviously Jet's card's pretty nice, +5 damage or something like that.
Right.
But, like, if he's not, like, is he playing this and losing 6 cards because he's using his own enhance? Like, is that 10% of his deck gone on one attack?
Yeah.
You know, so I think this is better in decks that aren't Ken and that gain momentum.
Yep.
Sure.
I also think it's good in decks that like stun 2 on the 4-diff. I mean, this card's really good, but I don't know if it's the greatest in Ken yet.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is definitely something with that second E that, you know, as either like a lead-in or like a second attack or something where, you know, you can really sort of like check and just be like, all right, like, I thought I could kill you, and now I definitely know I can.
Yeah.
I mean, again, high cost, but that's an enhance that can win you the game.
Man, it's a shame that Robot Masters rotates when this comes in, because holy shit, that would be awesome. Yeah.
Robot Masters is a fun card.
It is a fun card, yes.
Yeah, so this is a great card. Let's just leave it at that.
All right, so let's move on to Not Over Until You Die with capital D-I-E. Gotta say it like that.
I don't know what's going on with this +5 block.
I don't know either, but you do have a way to stack attacks now from your discard pile on the top of your deck. So now Liu Kang has a way to stack attacks, but also so does Ken, so you can remove it to get all that damage.
There you go.
I think the +5 is just like a typing mistake. They meant to type 2.
Yeah, I think it was Piglet that was saying like, "Oh yes, finally I can give -5 damage with my new allies in Cossack."
Yeah, there you go. That's what it is. Yeah. Yep.
I mean, it's true, but he could have done that with unmet demands already. To be honest, I had to think that
that's also true. Yes.
Yeah.
But like, why? I agree. It's bizarre to see a 5+ high.
Mm-hmm.
This card's amazing, though.
Yeah, I mean the first F is great. I think like what's the Swordman card? That's like you like reveal 2 weapons to draw a card. I think that's just a I think that's just a form commit. So it's not first F.
Yeah, it's a 2/4.
So you could ready it and actually do it twice, which is awesome.
Right.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, you are one of the main purveyors of like watching a nightmare.
Becoming extra hand size. Yeah, I love becoming extra hand size.
And yeah, like I mean, something like this. Like honestly, this is something where I feel like, Ken, sure, but like Fire Jet is all about this. He's just like 7 hand size Jet, sure,
why not? Yeah.
I already have some really nasty Fire Jets that I was actually thinking of playing Fire Jet for Nats. If this card's in it, I mean.
And even like you flip, I mean, if you have like a way to draw a card, I mean, like, we've talked about overly dramatic as one of like a really, really good like deadlock E to remove it to get an attack back. I mean, this isn't deadlock. This is just flip and stack anything. So all you need at that point is a way to draw a card.
Yeah.
You play this in all Guile and flip what you want to the top. If they didn't hand cannon you, this card's really, really good.
Nice. Oh yeah,
it's true.
It's true.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's sort of. I guess what I wonder is why the plus. Like, this is one of those cards where I guess like the question is why does it even have a block? Yeah. And I mean, I guess that's why it's a +5 because like, obviously you don't need one.
Mm-hmm.
The real question is why does this have a 5 control check?
Yeah, there you go.
Because they have this long history of making these 4 control checks with like draw effects on them. And I've already seen 2 cards that draw cards that have 5 controls. That Chun-Li one that's E-commit draw, and this one that's just like, yo, draw your cards and recur whatever you want.
Yeah, who knows? I mean, this is a really good card.
It's a very good card. Yep. All right, so moving on to Lilith. She's moving back to that 3 damage attack thing, but she actually scales well. I mean, like, she scales with that. For any attacks you can play, you just get +1/+1. So it's just, but it's on a 5 check though, so at least it's costed.
One of the other things though is it's for each card.
Yeah.
So we were talking about
especially I didn't even read that part. I thought it was just attacks.
No, it's each card. So like we talked about some of the what's her name, the over the top.
Sasha.
Yeah, Sasha. Like you can add that in. The sense sense of adventure is the one that like commits and like you can add something in. Even Clear Cutter, you can like form that up and then it's a sort of getting like +1 speed because it's like -1 to their block check and then you also get like speed and damage for it. Like
she can play Ancestral Quiver and give +2, give stun 2 to all of her attacks. There you go.
Yeah, I mean, let's be honest. She's going to play multiple, and if you multiple 2, everything has +3, +3, +3.
Yeah.
Right? Like, she's going to kill people with multiples.
Well, it's printed 3, so like it won't pump multiples.
No, but it'll pump the first one.
Right. And honestly, like I really like her R commit. There's a lot. Like this is a little bit like Quickman. Where, because I guess that's the thing, is her E is playable while committed, so you can, like, you don't have to worry too much about, like, I mean, I guess you're probably not going to be using that R commit on your, like, attack anyway. But yeah, after any attack is played, like, seal it, and your next check gets +3, and if it's your attack, draw a card. I guess so maybe you would play it if you wanted to just draw.
Yeah.
And obviously the check boost is nice as well. So, I mean, I guess, you might use this on your thing if you want to like finish off an attack string. I didn't read
I think
honestly, I just read the seal and I was like, why would I use this offense?
No, the only reason you'd play this on your own attack is if you've stacked your deck and you know what's there, or if you're reverseling them and you need more cards and you don't think your seal's relevant. I don't think you're going to use this on your own attack much.
Yeah.
But because it's so highly costed to draw a card too. Like it's not. I mean, the +3 is nice because it kind of negates the cost, but it doesn't really negate the cost.
Yeah.
Like you're not going to poke and just play this R, because then you don't have the seal defensively, right? Like you're going to sit with Lilith ready and use her defensively until you have a kill turn.
Yeah.
And then you're going to attack and do her E5 plus a ton. Now, if you could ready Lilith, like if you have a card or ability that readies her, she's a pretty good character to be able to use twice in a turn.
Sure.
I mean, I like that art. I think that, that's another one that, going like second or something, like you can sort of stave off one like a really scary attack. Like something like a Cat's or
Missile Launcher.
Sure. I mean, Missile Launcher, it's like Missile Launcher is a lot less scary when it's just like a 3 low for 6.
Yeah.
Coffee Samba's pretty bad when it can't play any of its abilities.
Yep.
I mean, you probably play this with the 1-check card that readies 2 cards in your staging area as a reversal.
Tornado Hold. Yeah.
Yeah, it's probably an interesting Tornado Hold character.
Oh, yeah.
That's true.
Yeah, that's very true. Yeah.
Right, because like you use this on their first attack that's like their freaking deep freeze. You're like, sorry, it's not deep freeze. And by the way, I'm going to block it because I get +3.
Yeah.
And then you block in reverse and you ready your character and you're like, what's up? Hope you have another deep freeze. Right? Like this wants to be played with Tornado Hold, and it's a shame it only shares it on water. Yeah. Is what I see when I see this character.
Yeah.
Yep.
No.
I guess you get to draw a card too. So yeah, I mean that's definitely a strong play. I mean, Tornado Hold is one of the best 1-checks because it doesn't check a 1 during the most important time to check a 1, which is your first build turn.
Exactly.
Yep. I mean, it still checks a 1 if you're trying to attack them and check a 1 on your back turn. So it's still a real 1, but it's really only strong if you're readying an asset or character that you're like, oh, I get 2 of this turn.
Yeah. Yep.
Like a lot of my Liu Kang tech was like, I'm going to play Magigen and ready it.
Oh, nice. Yeah, cool. Yeah.
Right. But really you only need to do it once. That was way too cute. But I mean, if you can ready that.
Oh, yeah. Multiple times.
Whether you're raiding, and if you're raiding or something, you're just like, oh, have some fun. Why don't you play 3 foundations or something during your turn?
Get wrecked, kid. Get wrecked.
Yeah, you're a 5-hander. I guess you can't even do anything. Like, what do you want? I don't know. But this character's good, but definitely not great.
Moving on to her attack.
Yep.
Swallow Your Soul. There was a lot of memes going around the weekend. There's a couple memes on Discord about this one with a certain logo of a certain company. So
I don't actually know what is going on in the art of this picture.
I don't.
She's just in like a headlock.
Okay.
Oh, is it like a half Nelson or a full Nelson?
I think a full Nelson. Yeah. And the name comes from the dialogue in the panel.
Oh, for sure.
Okay.
Oh, for sure.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. It's a throw. I guess like the deals 3 or more, like it should be able to get. It's a throw. You can probably get it to 6 to get some like free momentum. Yep. And obviously, like the combo doubles up on Lilith on damage. I'm just kind of happy to see combos that are anything other than attack after MK.
There you go.
It was just kind of weird having everything being like, like combos. You sort of like think like, okay, well, I have to think about what I'm including in my deck when I put this in because I want to be able to use the combo ability. And you just didn't have to do that at all for the MK stuff. It was just kind of like, oh, cool. Well, it's combo attack, so I just have to play it not first.
Yep. That didn't really make any sense to me. I mean, I've played Mortal Kombat. I guess you can combo anything into anything.
Yeah.
Right?
Technically,
I don't know.
You can. Yeah. You can in a way.
You kind of can. Like this +4 low block, I have no idea what that's doing on this attack.
They're helping out Faye, even though it's
well, I mean,
attack.
The thing is too is like it's a throw, so like it doesn't really need a block anyway.
Yeah,
I guess that's the thing is a couple of these cards seem like they have some sort of weird blocks, and I guess it's nice for Faye to have some options of like a few more like high blocks to pick up stuff, but I don't really know if this is the kind of card she's running.
I don't think so at all.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's fast.
It is very fast.
It's pretty fast for a throw. Fast. I don't think they're really going to be that into blocking it.
Well, technically, you kind of do want to place at the end of a string because it gets +1 damage for each card in your card pool. So it doubles up on Lilith in a way. So you could just dump this at the end of a string and just kill them because it's they have no throw hate or whatever. So
yeah, I just feel this attack's like super greedy.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. It doesn't make sense.
Even the
it's
art
kind of
is greedy.
It's an oxymoron
the whole
card.
card
it's a throw with a lot of speed, right? It doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah. Yep.
I mean, I guess this is something too where, you talk about playing at the end of a string. I guess you could do that with like Lilith Seal.
Yeah.
So you can just kind of like telegraph it a bit and just be like, well, I'll seal this attack because I want to be able to play this like 4 diff on like not like an 8 or 9.
Sure.
And then obviously the combo will be pretty big. And then with Lilith's, you can get this throw up to like pretty high if you can get it to connect.
Yeah, I mean, I can see why this is good in Lilith, or kind of how it synergizes with Lilith. I'm not going to say good in Lilith. I can see how someone looked at Lilith and was like, oh, I'll design a card that works with her, and they came up with this.
Yeah. True.
I think it was Iari who was just like, oh man, like Fei Long finally getting like some more good cards. So.
Yeah. Moving on to her foundation. I know a lot of people were really hyped about this thing over the weekend, especially in Fey, because you just get to discard momentum and you get free +1 to check for an attack, so you can just help you along with your strings, and then also you can ready it after you discard that momentum to get +1. So it's relatively kind of like +2 to your check, I guess, if it's committed. So seems pretty good on a spam.
I mean, I think it's a really solid card. If you need 0 spam, this is a pretty good 0 spam.
Yeah.
Like it's not a bad 0 spam.
No.
But if you have other needs for your momentum and like you don't gain a ton of momentum, this card's not as good, right? Because you're like, well, do I want to discard this momentum, or do I need that momentum for my multiple or whatever, right?
I mean, this again might just be some stuff for like, kind of just another one of those like momentum outlets for like Jeddah. I mean, I guess also if you sort of imagine a world where people are playing stuff in sealed, it's going to be nice to have some like momentum dumps if your opponent's playing Jeddah.
Sure.
I know that was a big problem with Twinkle, is if you didn't have like some of the jet stuff or like Spike 2 things that just had like big keywords to dump everything out of, you could get kind of like stuck where all of a sudden they're getting like large numbers on everything.
You needed Celestial being out or something.
So, I mean, this is all right. Like, that's the thing is if you're playing some like bad checks and you want a way to, like guarantee some early build, like this is a perfectly serviceable like 0 diff. So,
and if you're gaining a lot of momentum, this card's probably really good. This card's probably good in Felicia of Water and Chaos.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Like not great because you want to keep her momentum, but once you get to that critical mass where you're like, oh, I have 4 momentum, what am I going to do with all this? This will help her pass even more checks.
Cool. I guess to play an attack as well. So it won't help you so much on like defense or something.
I don't think it's broken. I think it's just a cool uncommon.
I mean, the other thing too is like the R is nice because it doesn't have to be for this card. You could just discard momentum for like powerful or multiple or whatever and just ready it. So.
Yeah, it's like bridging the races that's a little bit harder.
I mean, honestly, like this is something on Earth. Like you could run in like Chun-Li. She's going to have momentum coming and going. So this is kind of something that you could like commit for 3 speed. And then, discard some momentum for something else and re-ready it. So
Cool.
Like, I think it has a place in a lot of decks,
Yep.
but I don't think it's going to break any decks or anything like that.
Now we're going to talk about my favorite character. Even though Morgan's technically my favorite character, but the character I'm going to play first is definitely Lord Raptor. So, he's a little good. He's a little good. Just a little.
So, just to start, I mean, I think this is the best character in the set.
I like him a lot.
All around.
Yeah.
Just because he is a 7-hander that we talked about. Ken, he doesn't have any defensive ability. This guy's giving his flashes Breaker 2 for some reason.
Yeah.
Why not?
Why not, kids? Why
After
not?
a flash attack is played, your opponent destroys 1 committed foundation. The really funny part is if your opponent's playing flash attacks and they attack you.
Ooh,
And you're like,
neat.
You're like, oh, I'm glad you're playing that flash attack.
Yep. Yeah.
You can. I think the ruling on this would be you could play High Seas off air and give their attack flash, and it's still.
Yeah, that's sort of a weird one. There was some other card that came up where we were talking about that with Captain's Discontent. With there was a debate over like if I play a card with no keywords and I give it like stun with Mega Man, can I then pump the damage because I played a card with a keyword? And I sort of argue that if it doesn't have the keyword as you're playing it, you kind of miss the window. But based on stuff like Fast Learner with Zoe's Foundation that like grants taunt.
Yeah.
The idea is if they play a 2 keyword thing and you give it the 3rd one, you can then respond with Fast Learner. So by that logic, these things work as well.
Yeah,
so.
I mean, I think the way this is worded, though, like it says, after a flash attack is played, that actually is an attack that has the flash keyword on it.
Yeah.
So I don't think it'll work. If it said something like after an attack is played, if it has flash.
That's what I was sort of, that's my take as well.
Yeah, so I don't think it works, but I just thought it was hilarious. Mm-hmm. Forget High Seas. If they're playing flashes against you, you definitely get to use it.
Yeah, oh, definitely.
There you go. You have an answer for that Quick Man deck.
Yeah, and everyone's going to be playing Lord Raptor, right? So, I mean,
Lord Raptor Mirror. Oof.
Lord Raptor Mirror, where everything is dead.
Where everything is Breaker, all your foundations get blown up.
That seems so miserable.
Right? It's just miserable, right? It's like, if he passes this block, I lose. If he doesn't pass the block, I win.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, this all comes down to a single block check. Like, oh my god. I have no idea.
The
other R is fantastic. I was talking with Shane today, and it was like, well, I guess I'll be playing 4 Mind Trigger in him because I just want to fill my discard pile up, and then just start pitching stuff, getting all that chaff out of there that you don't need,
Yeah,
yeah. Because I think a big knock on flash attacks is like they didn't have like a real suit, like a speed or damage pump that was like guaranteed, like or like a repeatable one in a way, other than like Mind Trigger.
It's just tough. I mean, it's this is Quickman's Foundation. That's like our commit. It gets +2 or +2.
You're right.
So this is the same thing, but it's on your character. So I guess the sort of the check on flashes is it's very difficult to kind of mess with their stats because you kind of need to find that support for the other flash characters, and they all have air. I guess pretty much all of them.
I think that's an identity and a symbol identity thing too. Is flash.
But then like some of their but that's the thing is if you wanted to play it on something else, it's going to be a little tighter. I guess on Death you get some of the Vega stuff.
Yep.
The thing I'm hyped about is on Fire, like playing this, playing like Jagged Barrage and
Cold
45.
Santa Claus coming to town.
Ready. I'm ready.
I actually like it. I also like that his bottom art isn't flash attack, so you could actually mix up your attack lineup a bit, and you can, you don't have to go a full flash lineup. You can vary it if you want.
Yep. You only have to play 1 flash attack a turn, really, to get efficacy out of his R. And then it just depends on what you want to do with Breaker 2.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess you want your opponent's going to run Pit a lot more. I mean, I don't know. Get rid of some of those Breaker 2s. It's really good against Jet, too, right? Like, if you think about it, a lot of stuff that gains Breaker right now doesn't gain it. Like, it gains it. It's not printed. There is some printed, but a lot of the real scary Breaker is from gaining. Yeah, I mean, I think this guy's insane. Like, all your attacks get +2/+2. Like,
well, it's or.
Sorry.
But, I mean, if it was
still,
both,
it's still really good.
But it's still good.
Yeah. You're right. Sorry.
It's still.
Apparently, I read Anzazors, but yeah.
It's okay.
I'm just so scared of him. That's all I see. I see the worst.
Well, yeah, it's just he has stuff in his support like Leg Shredder we touched on in the last show. When you play it, you commit your opponent's foundation. So the way you stack your R's is you don't have to worry. You can just play Leg Shredder and then destroy something and then remove stuff and just have fun and go to town, I guess. So, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's not targeted destruction. I don't think this guy's going to ruin the game or anything, but he's just super solid.
Yeah, he's very good. Yeah.
Going first, he's going to be a mess. He's going to be very hard to beat going first, because if he just starts poking you after that, it's just like, fuck my life. And God help you if you're playing flash attacks for some reason and are not Lord Raptor.
Godspeed, Spider-Man. So, moving on to his uncommon attack, Stinging Skull. It looks like, because his other attack is a high, so we may get all zones, I guess, because they have a low. So I'm assuming he's going to have a mid, too. So, assume. But, so if your opponent blocks it, if it commit a foundation, which feeds his other character ability, and then if it hits, it does 6 damage. So you could send it for like 6 low for 4. They can't really do much to it, and you're doing 6 low 6 to them overall. So that's pretty cool.
I mean, I think Leg Shredder's broken.
Oh yeah,
You guys talked about that before, but I think Leg Shredder's broken.
Yeah.
This is like the new whatever 3-diff card they banned.
Yeah, like Sturmwaff. Yeah.
Yeah, like it's got the stun of Sturmwaff and scales even higher for some reason.
Yeah.
This is something just don't block it mid.
Yeah,
like what is this after this card is removed from the game? Ready 1 foundation? Like really?
Yeah.
Really?
It's pretty
like
cool.
Why does it need that too?
Yeah, it does.
Because I guess that thing is he can remove it from the discard pile and just be like, oh, I'll just extend my turn.
Yeah. No, it's not even extend the turn. You can just ready his foundation we're about to talk about, or any foundation that's like F commit.
Yeah.
If
So like,
what about his uncommon attack?
His uncommon attack's solid.
His uncommon attack is solid, but it's not busted as sin.
No, it's not busted. No, it's quite solid.
So you were talking about would you like to tell us how you feel about Healed by a Shaman?
I don't know what to tell you about this card. Block with hand cannon is all I can tell you.
Yeah. I got like when I was playing. Funny thing about this card, I was playing the UFS Blackjack while other top cups are going on, and I ripped like 3 or 4 Healed by Shamans in a row, and I'm like, Jason, all I want are characters, man. I don't care about the foundations. And then I read the card, and I'm like, oh,
you didn't read this?
Nah, I don't read the cards, man. I read the cards when we do the review show, so I get honest opinions. So, because that's how the people want it. But yeah, the card's nuts, and it's fantastic, and I'm gonna play like as many copies as I can, which is 4.
This is something too, like that, because the art commit. People have been talking. You'll remember the name, Garrett. What's the old like King of Fighters thing where you basically pitch your hand and pick something
clandestine research. Yeah, but it's a form. This is an R, so you can use this defensively. So if you have 1 card in your hand and it doesn't match your opponent's block zone or something, you're like, oh, well, I'm going to grab this thing and give it breaker 2.
Yep.
And, like this is great in him, obviously. If you're playing Death and running Balance Fighter, you might even be drawing a little bit more.
Yeah.
Because you can discard your Balance Fighters and just draw a bunch of shit. But the reason this card's so good is because it's an R and not an F.
Yes.
Yeah.
It has an F too, but it has an R. So the defensive capabilities of this card is the thing that scares me the most.
I know, like, too, I was kind of like just interested in this in like Miska. I think she's like just honestly Miska, like I don't think she's ever gonna be great just because she's a 625.
Yeah.
But she can ready this like if you get 2 or 3 of these out and she just draws like a hand with like a couple attacks, like the fact that you can like basically re-ready each of these like after like your first use with Miska, because like she's like after your flash resolves, you can either like ready something that hasn't been readied or like tap one of their foundations. Yeah. So like you get 2 of these out, like you can get like 4 activations out of them with Miska. And like if you start using like Conch Blast or something like that. It's just like how many 8 damage moves do you want to hold? You know, because if you block it, it discards, and then on my next attack, I'm going to pick it up. Yeah. Discard's nasty. So.
And the flip is
playable. And I guess it has
committed,
a death flip because why not?
And it's playable while committed, so why not too? So, you know.
Yep.
Get more cards in your hand. So.
Yeah, I mean, this card should have maybe had that +5 block mod too. I don't know what's going on.
I noticed I had a +2 high block, and I was like, ooh, that's a win.
It should have had that like +5 block mod and a forecheck and the unique and
do you know what I'm really wondering after looking at all these cards? Like, where are the forechecks on the foundations? Is there a foundation with a forecheck yet? No,
I don't think so.
They're all 5.
Oh, cool! Look at that. But maybe the rares have the forecheck. Usually the rares will have the forecheck.
But how good are these cards going to be with the forechecks?
I would still play. I would play these cards with forechecks in a heartbeat.
No, well, that's what I'm saying. Some of these cards, especially the ones that draw you cards,
should. Yeah.
They're design departures from the way they've been doing things.
I'm surprised that our commit isn't like our remove or our destroy, or usually when we add cards to our hands, it's usually a little more costly than just commit. But
I mean, you have to discard your hand.
Well, yeah, it's also true. So that's
like I mean, the idea is sort of that, like, if you're using that, like, it's either kind of like a last ditch thing, or you're going just like absolute ham, and like you say like destroy, commit. I mean, if pitching your hand isn't like a high enough cost, okay. Yeah. I mean, I guess the idea is that you're killing them or you're living, but. Right, like it's not an R that you just kind of go, oh, cool, I play this on everything.
No,
like it's super powerful, but yeah.
What you do is you defend with this. You survive, right? You are grab your block, and then next turn it's still there, and you can now use it offensively, right? Like I kind of agree with Chris. This could have had an R remove because without it, you're like, I'm going to use it twice within the span of their turn, my turn.
That's true.
So it's. I mean, this card is probably the best card we've seen. I know I said that about Guile's awesome order only card, but that's because I like defense. This thing is just like defense, offense, a little bit of everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Oh yeah. And also his common can ready it if you, on your opponent's turn if you want. If you just want to keep picking blocks up. So just a little. Yeah. Little shout out to them.
If they have the audacity to come through your breaker, you'll be like, oh, we'll do it again.
You're like, oh, sir.
The funny thing is people who aren't Lord Raptor are going to be playing this. And they're going to be playing this, and they're going to be playing their flash attacks. And then they're going to flash attack Lord Raptor and lose.
Yeah.
Because he's going to destroy their stuff while they attack him.
All right, Chris, you want to
this card's a trap.
Tell us about your favorite character?
About Morgan? Oh yeah. I like her R a lot because it works on, like, if you're going second and you can. It's kind of like how Fade works. Like if you're going second and you can like pitch, get one of those cards out of their hand, basically make them cycle. But yeah, she's a little weird. Like I really want to see all of her cards before I make like a good bad judgment. But like just on face value, I think she's just kind of okay. Because it's really going to come down to your deck building and how your block modifier to printed control is how varied it is. It's just very random and varied, and it's just at first glance it just seems bad in a way. But
I mean, this is kind of like the Ken, or like Blanca. Like this is this is a little bit of that like Street Fighter type thing of like. I get, like, it can be really good or it can be really bad.
Yeah.
It's like when you discard that police connections and get like +5 or -5 speed, you're feeling great.
Yep.
When you discard that attack that has like a +3 block, you're like, well, didn't do anything.
Yeah. Exactly.
So
yeah.
The R is good. It's just, man, it costs a lot.
Yes, it does. It does.
So like I guess you can use this. If you take no damage, you can use it 9 times in a turn with no life gain, or 9 times in a game with no life gain. So yeah, I mean, I guess that's cool that it's like not even just attack card. So that is good. I mean, like, one of the cool things about Vega going second is that, if they check a 3 on one of their foundations, like, you might be able to mess up their early build. And she could do that too.
Yep.
Which certainly isn't bad. But of course, then you're basically starting the game as like a 625. So is that worth it?
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
It probably is. I mean, if you're going second and you have the choice to say they build 3 instead of 4, or two instead of 3, I think it's worth the 3 vitality. And defensively, if they're the first time they attack you, you get to eject one of their attacks or make them pay a lot for it.
Exactly. Yeah.
Like I mean, Vincent Gray 1 was really, really good, and largely for this effect's reason.
Yep.
And Vega's really, really good because of that type of effect, right? Like it's the main way. This is bread and butter. He's good for lots of other reasons. So
that would be my comparison is to Vincent.
Yeah. It's Vincent Gray, and Vincent Gray's solid. And then she gets this ability that's going to give her a ton of speed. She's like basically Guile, but she can be used more defensive reliably, I think, than Guile, because she could build a deck that runs a lot of low block mod foundations.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know what that deck looks like or if it's valid.
Now they did fix this compared to Kung Jin, where they said if you discard a block card, so like it has to have a block. If you discard a non-block, you don't get anything.
So you're looking for things that are +1, +0, +2. I think +2 is fine. Like -4 speed, -4 speed for basically free is not bad, right? Even -3 is really, really good. Like if we're talking back to Guile, -2 for free is good. So you could run like basically any foundation is getting you good value, unless you're running the five block mod foundation like an idiot, right?
Yeah.
So,
I mean, I could see her like, especially on good, running like armor expert with like police connections and like admonition and stuff like that. And just like in a pinch, you just go, okay, well, I'll stack this card that is flipped or not doing much and -5 speed. Like,
like I'll be serious. I think she's probably. I think her and Akuma and Raptor are the 3 best characters in this set.
I think that her success is basically going to come down to how well you can. Basically, it's going to be either build or how well you can kind of control what's on top of your deck.
I mean, if you can build the deck with lots of blocks, you're going to be fine. Then you don't have to even control what's on top of your deck.
Exactly.
Right.
Which I think you can probably do, because a lot of foundations have blocks nowadays.
Like, as long as you're getting, like, I guess if you're getting, like, 2 or 3 each, then, it's pretty good. It's sort of one of those things, like, similar to Ken. Like, you can't just, like, if you're doing it blind, like, you can't be counting on it.
Sure.
You know what I mean? Like, there's always going to be the possibility that, unless every single card in your deck is, like, a block that doesn't match the control. But you're probably going to have some attacks that have 3, +3s.
I mean, if you have attacks with +0s, I mean, you're looking at +3 speed from those 2, which is pretty good.
Which is good.
I mean, I just think her R is really good, because if you can negate one of their builds, I mean, like you said, you can only do it a few times, but doing it will buy you vitality.
I mean, doing it once is a big deal. And, like, right, even on, like, a second turn, if they, like, throw out a poke and then they try to, like, build some stuff and you just go, okay, if you want to pass that last foundation, you got to tap out. And they're just like, well, I'm not going to do that. And if they do, then maybe, that, like,
and you kill them next turn because they're stuck out. So, I think she's really good. I'm looking forward to building and playing as her.
Cool. All right.
I just don't know if I'm going to play as her or Guile.
Dude, this attack, though, oh my gosh. So, it's a throw with a +2 high block. So already, like, sure. It's got EX1, which is important for its E, which is if the speed is greater than printed, it gets +3 damage. The deadlock is just kind of like a tack on. I feel like life is one of the symbols that doesn't have really good deadlock abilities. So, I mean, a powerful throw, sure. The biggest thing though is this is a 4-diff slam.
It's also it's transformable, which is fantastic.
Yes,
yeah.
So you can get it with transform. It's also interesting. It's a slam and a throw, so you can dust off that old what's his name?
Canyon Flyer?
Talbane Foundation.
Oh.
You like pitch momentum, and after your kick punch slam deals damage, like all your all the other slams will reduce in difficulty.
Sure.
Or you can just run this in Talbane and give it +2/+2, and then 3 more damage, and then when it deals damage, draw 2 cards.
That sounds sick. That sounds fun.
Yeah, Talbane, top tier now, right?
Well, I'll be honest. I think this card's really, really good too.
Yeah, I mean, this is something. I mean, right? It's just like it's already got like decent numbers. It's a throw, so like unless they have a throw block or like prepare to fight or something, like you're probably going to do some damage. It's got a good block, which is a sort of a luxury for throws. And yeah, I mean, how hard is it to give something like 1 speed?
Well, all you need is a momentum because you have EX1.
Yeah, true.
But if you're any other character that's giving speed, it's really good. I mean, it's a 7 damage throw.
Yeah.
For all intents and purposes.
For a 4-diff 3-check, like this is a good card.
If you lead with Stunner, it's a 9 damage throw, and you're probably playing it on -2 difficulty too if they block it. Yeah.
I mean, I'll tell you right now, if I can do anything other than blocking a stunner, I do it. Because why am I going to let you?
Oh, I know exactly. But if the people
need,
if you need to block it to live, you kill them with this because it's super.
Well, I mean, if you need to block it to live, you're already dead.
Yeah. I mean, let's be honest. Stunner's stupid.
Yeah.
That's all I got to say about that card.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
it's an aggressive player's dream, and this is a great card.
Yeah, it's very good. Rest in peace, Robot Masters, man. Rest in peace. That's all I'm going to say. Oh, rest in peace. Would have loved a Robot Master. Hey, Jasko Legacy, there we go.
Yeah, but you can play a lot of the Devora stuff off life that gives you bonuses for 4 damage.
That's also true.
Attacks.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you're correct.
Right. So you got new Robot Masters type-ish things going on if you really want to.
Yeah, this with what is it, like espionage or whatever?
Yeah.
Can you imagine it at Deadlock though? The Deadlock powerful plus the Deadlock +3.
Oh god, it's so good. Yeah.
I think I was talking to Shane. I said like that. I played like a couple Devoras, just in Premier Store events, like PTCs and stuff like that. And like, I had one where like the Devora built like 2 or 3 copies of that card by like turn 2, and I was just like, well, time to figure out how I'm going to win this game with 10 or less foundations. Because it's just like, I mean, you get 2 of that out, and everything's like +6/+6. Like, nah.
Yeah, not happening. Yep.
Like, if you can't, like, you need to get rid of that, or like flip it or something. I mean, I said that Life didn't have like a bunch of great Deadlock. I kind of forgot. I mean, for that, obviously, like, it's a very specific attack lineup, but yeah, I mean, you slap down 2 of those, and your opponent's just like, well, got to deal with that. So.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, this foundation is weird.
It seems like it's a Chun-Li support card more than it is a Morrigan support card.
I don't know what support card this is.
Yeah.
My joke was when, you know, you absolutely positively need like 3 more damage on your Swinenberg.
Yeah. True.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know who's doing like this much with like a bunch of face down foundations. I guess the idea is when you like check something that like, you know, like if you check one of your like, you know, +0 or +1 like blocks, and that, you know, like that has like a 6 check or whatever, and you're like, oh, you know what, I really want to give 5 speed to it, then you can like put it back on top. But I don't know. This is like a huge cost.
It's the giant. Well, like, haven't all the recheck cards been banned or MRP'd though? So maybe they're trying to.
That was my other sort of like joke. Is, well, I guess like this is, you know, the new lesson in Magic, right?
Yeah, for the most part. For the most part.
I mean, I'm looking at these cards and I'm thinking Jasko's like, okay, all we got to do is give this foundation a +2 block, and it's going to be amazing in Morgan. And then everything else on the card is just like, we want this effect in the game for no apparent reason, but and we can do it now because this is a Morgan card because it has a +2 block on it. Like, Like, this doesn't actually synergize with her in any way that I'm missing it, does it?
Yeah.
It's even after you make a check, right? So it's not even like if your opponent makes a bad check, you can be like, haha, you're going to check that again.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. I mean, it's after you make a good check, you could check a good check again.
Yeah.
That's not bad.
I just don't know, like, what. Yeah. Like, there's nothing I've seen for her that wants face down foundations. So.
Oh wait, I get it. So if you check like your +0 block mod, you're like, oh, now it's on top of the deck.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, it kind of does synergize with her.
It does, but it's just like, do you really want to flip 3 foundations for like 5 or 6 speed? I don't know.
I guess if you're gonna kill your opponent,
if it's killing
it
him,
matters.
great.
Yeah. Can you go outside? I gotta let my dog out, so keep talking.
I think it's bizarre.
Yep. The art's kind of cool.
The art's really cool.
Little Anita. When is she going to be on an asset or something, right? For Donovan?
For Donovan, yeah. Well, they make him. Well, they're not. He's not even in the set, right? So.
He's a topper.
Okay. Well, then he's not getting support.
Right. Maybe it'll be in the extra cards, right?
It is neat that she's on. Like, I was looking at Morgan's other foundation, the common one you guys must have talked about last week. I have no idea what this card's doing.
Yeah.
I guess that's more what I was talking about. Like, what the hell? Give it a block mod and think it's good.
Yeah. I mean, like, Early Awakening is pretty wild.
It is wild. It's just, I don't know why it's Morgan wild.
Yeah. No, I don't know.
She already got speed. She needs more speed.
Yeah.
Or she's already. I don't get it. I just don't get this card.
Yeah, I mean, Early Awakening seems like something that's, like, cool for, like, Turbo Man. Yeah, I mean, because even looking at... I mean, I guess it's something maybe for, like, other people, where you're just like, oh, well, it gives, like, +1 speed to anything, so, like, I guess both of her attacks wanted to have higher... Well, the other one's, like, +3, though, right? I don't know. Who knows?
Yeah, the other one's if it's 6 or greater, right?
Yeah, but it's got EX3.
Yeah,
I mean, I guess at least that one has some life gain, so... helps you offset that R.
Yeah, I think Morgan's really good. I'm curious, like, I think you can even run her with some of those cards that gain you vitality back when you pay the cost, like some of Colocon's. If you're running Evil or Life, like when you were concerned about the cost.
I mean, even like Sawblade Strike, I mean, I think that's a little weird, but I guess it's going to be easier to make it hit if you can give it like 3 or 4 speed.
Sure. Yeah. Being able to hack a check for free, -3 is pretty nice.
Well, right, but even if you're just like, okay, well, I'll gain back like a 1 life on every attack.
Yeah.
You're basically going to be able to do it for like 1 or 2 probably, or and then gain it back on your turn as well. So yeah, like anything that she has that can just kind of like gain that life easily is going to be pretty good. And she has high base, right? Or is it 28?
28.
Yeah. So 28, so I guess it starts at 13, just like a normal one. But right, even just like if you're on Evil, that like 0 diff, that's Desperation gain 1. I mean, it's not great, but I guess it has a block, so it's got +3 block on a 6 check. So there you go, 3 speed.
Yeah, 3 speed.
And once you're getting later in the game, it helps mitigate the cost on her R. So that's not bad.
Yeah, what is it? Ranging a deal is 2 mid block with a 6 check, so it's like 4 speed, right?
No. Which one's that? I don't even.
It's the vicious one where your Desperation E draw card. You flip it to draw a card.
Yeah, that's a 2 block on a 6 check.
Yeah, so you get 4 speed with that. So that's kind of cool, I guess. So maybe there'll be something there on the Evil builds or whatever. So, cool.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot of foundations that'll work with her.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the big thing is like, right, like as long as you're not running something that's like, as long as you're not running anything that's a 4 check.
As long as you're not running like,
you're pretty much getting at least 2 speed.
Yeah,
so.
For sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, overall thoughts so far on the character fleshing out? Because I know, like, our last show is we were guessing what the characters did. So, I'm pretty sure.
I think we said Morgan gives speed, so we got that.
Yep. Like Raptor just eats people alive. So,
I mean, Raptor certainly plays flash attacks.
Yep. Kuma likes face downs. I think out of what I like about a lot of these characters is they're very interesting. Like, they keep building upon, like, the MK characters were very interesting. Like, the Bebop characters were kind of just simple. There are a little bit of things, but they keep building upon, like, Just
I mean, yeah, I guess it's nice. Like, I feel like the Bebop stuff was almost just like there was a lot of those characters that are just kind of like stats.
Yeah.
And there's still like there's stats in this. I mean, there's a lot of stuff in this set that's speed, which kind of hasn't been done since they kind of upped the power level.
Sure.
So like that's cool, I guess. Like there's some sort of going to be some other decks or some other angles, but you know, a lot of things like. I mean, Akuma does pump damage, but obviously does a bunch of, like, check hacks. Jetta is sort of like another take on that momentum stuff. Ken does whatever. So, like, I guess, like, looking at these, a lot of these do give stats, but they're kind of in some other ways, you know? Like, and they're sort of, like, secondary abilities on, like, you know, Morgan, Lilith, you know, Guile, some of those, like, they kind of have, like, some personality to them other than just kind of, like, this is big. So, that's nice to see. It's, you know, it's good to, when you're playing something to not just feel like, oh, you know, like, if you're playing, like, Jet or you're playing, like, Vicious, you know, you're just kind of, like, giving damage, you know, it feels a lot like, oh, I'm pumping, like, generic stuff. And, like, Jet's like, I want keywords, and, you know, Vicious just, you know, kind of wants good cards. And these, I feel like you need a little bit more of, like, figuring out how to use their abilities.
Yeah.
The other thing for me, at least, I don't know about the foundations, but a lot of the attacks, the base numbers seem just like a half a tick down, which is kind of nice. I feel like a lot, especially in Bebop. And MK, I think, was a little bit less. I think MK had some, like, wacky abilities, but, like, the stats were a little bit back to that, like, you know, there's a lot of 3s and 4s, and there's the abilities pump them, so they get bigger, but they don't start big.
Yes.
And, you know, stuff like M3C, and, like, Missile Launcher, just some of those cards, you know, that have these, like, base numbers, like 6, 7, 8, you know, like, those are the cards that kind of just, like, blow you out fast when you just check well. And these sort of, like, require at least a little bit more work, I think.
Yeah.
So we'll see. Yeah. I mean, you can still nut draw, like, you know, and just be like, oh, well, you know, I pump the speed, everything gets a bunch of damage. Like, on, you know, some of the Morgan stuff or whatever. But,
okay.
I don't know.
Cool. Garrett, any final thoughts on the so far on the cards?
No, I mean, I'm really loving the set. I'll be honest.
Yeah.
I think it's really good. I'm just excited to get it in my hands and play it.
Yep.
Does anything, like, jump out at you? Like, now that we've seen the characters, or do any of them, like, really jump out of you as, like, to be as much of, like, a boogeyman as, like, you know, a Spike Wan or, like, a Quan Chi or a Liu Kang or something like that?
I mean, I don't think so.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like, I think Lord Raptor is going to be really solid and really just obnoxious with the Breaker 2. Like, I think, like, if you thought Mega Man 2 was good, I mean, obviously Kevin Broberg does. Lord Raptor's just going to ruin you.
Yeah.
I don't know. There's nothing like Quan Chi that's just going to, like, combo into something and win every game for free or reduce all your damage all the time. That's the interesting thing. The ones that are super kind of crazy with speed, Guile and Morgan, it's speed. It's not damage.
Yeah.
Yep.
People say speed kills, but you actually need damage to do that.
Yeah.
So that's going to slow it down a little bit.
Yeah, that's what, I think we sort of talked about that, where it's like, you know, you need the stuff that's actually going to kill, but then you also need, like, a delivery mechanism, and they kind of, like, supply the delivery, and then it's up to you to figure out, like, how you're killing.
Sure.
So.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, I think if any of them has the ability to be, like, as obnoxious as Quan Chi or Liu Kang, it actually might be Akuma, but he's not 7 hand size, so I don't think it's going to happen. I'm kind of concerned about the box toppers. That means they could be crazy as all fuck, but because there's always one in every set, right?
Yeah,
right.
True. So far, yeah, there has been. Yeah. All right.
So we'll see.
Cool.
These are all good. Yeah.
The other thing that's nice, there's definitely some characters here that, you know, play decently going second.
Yeah.
Which, you've said is like, right, the Guiles, Morgan, Lilith is all right. That defensive ability will, like, let you weather one, like, really scary thing. And even, like,
Guile and Morgan are the most notable ones, I think.
Yep. So, and that's good.
Cool.
So.
All right. Well, again, Garett, thank you for joining us on another episode of Guile Treatment.
Thanks for having me.
Have me back.
This was fun.
Hopefully they'll drop the rares soon. We'll have another show about the rares and the ultra rares, and then pre-release, and we'll be beating each other in the face with Lord Raptor and Guile over and over again until the cows come home.
Yeah, so, you know what? Guile cannot reduce that speed on Lord Raptor stuff.
Oh yeah. Lord Raptor is really good against Guile.
Yeah.
I mean, you can still draw those cards though.
Okay, so you can have all the cards you want as long as I'm hitting you. I don't really care. So,
but you're not going to be gaining life on my attacks.
No,
I hate Flash for a number of reasons, but the main one is that I can't do any defensive enhance. It's such a pain in the ass.
All right, everyone. Have a good night, and we'll see you on the next episode of the Guile Treatment. Have a good night.
All right, see you guys.